Welcome to Everyday Politics, a political show for you. It's been produced for social media, so please react, comment and share so we can make it even better for the next show. The main story on today's show will be about Philip Green, the retail tycoon. Fresh allegations have been made against him and payments have been made in an attempt to cover these up. Philip Green supposedly used NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, to do this. Therefore, we'll have two experts on NDAs, and they'll be sharing their expertise and discussing what NDAs are and how they impact on everyday people. One of my favourite proverbs is "pride comes before a fall." Is this proverb about to become the reality for the retail tycoon Philip Green, or is there a witch hunt and a lynch mob out to get him? Philip Green is a little bit like Marmite. You either like him or hate him. For those of you who don't know, this is Marmite. Philip Green lives a very lavish lifestyle. He owns a £46 million jet and a £100 million super yacht. He parties with the stars and is worth £3.8 billion according to Forbes. Philip Green survived the BHS scandal, but this week's fresh allegation begs the question, is Philip Green about to fall from grace? The fresh allegations involve Philip Green put a female employee in a headlock. 2, he grabbed a female employee by the face. 3, he mocked a black employee's dreadlocks and accused him of smoking cannabis. 4, he threatened a journalist. 5, he threatened to bankrupt a newspaper. And 6, he kissed and groped a female executive. It is now believed that Philip Green threatened employees who would speak out against him and offered them payments in order to keep quiet. These payments include £1 million to the female executive who was slapped and groped, £1 million to the black employee who was accused of smoking cannabis, and hundreds of thousands of pounds to female employees who accused him of misconduct. Philip Green has been branded a bully for using NDAs to silence accusers. So my question is, does the legislation around NDAs need to change? That's why today we're going to speak to two professionals and ask them the questions. MPs and influential people across the UK have called for Sir Philip Green to be stripped of his knighthood. This is due to his use of NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, and the allegations made against him. Today's guests include Sherilyn Patterson and Ian Toon. Ian Toon is a retired trades union official, and Sherilyn Patterson is a lawyer. So Ian, could you talk to us about some of your experiences, please?
Yes, so I've been used to working with employees and particularly with disputes in employment and managing exit strategies really for employees who are in dispute with their employers.
And Sherilyn? Tell me about your experience.
So my experience is mainly commercial, to do with protecting proprietary rights, and then equally I do have some experience of helping employees with disputes, having signed agreements or restrictive covenants within contract and just understanding those to understand their effect on the employees post the signing.
Great. So this week, allegations have been made against Sir Philip Green. These have been like sexual assault, these have been racial abuse. Do NDAs protect Philip Green, and do they make victims or potential victims more vulnerable? Ian?
I would say that NDAs are not really designed for this purpose, because if we're alleging that Sir Philip Green has committed a criminal act, then that's not covered under an NDA. So whether you've signed an NDA or not wouldn't prevent Sir Philip Green being charged with a criminal offence.
But surely these NDAs, they're saying that the victims can't be talking about what's happened in order for them to be able to receive these funds. And if they say something, then they break the agreement. So surely the NDA is in place and making the victims more vulnerable.
The NDA is there to protect certain rights of the employee and the employer. So the employee is bound not to disclose allegations of bullying, for example, in the workplace. But that doesn't trump a criminal charge. I mean, bullying isn't actually a criminal offence in the workplace, unless it concerns something like physical assault or sexual assault. Bullying itself in the employment context is more of a civil matter.
What do you think, Sharon?
Well, a thought occurred to me as you were asking the question, actually. We don't know what these NDAs contain. So NDAs in general shouldn't, as Ian quite rightly says, protect against criminal offences. And some of these offences are criminal. So there is no way you can sign away, unless you're a member of the Crown or a member of the armed forces, you can't sign away a criminal offence. So these people shouldn't be held back by the NDAs on a criminal basis. So I would guess the question we should be asking ourselves is, why aren't the police investigating? Because if these allegations have been made to criminal offences, the police should be investigating, and therefore the NDAs would be trumped anyway in any criminal investigation. So we don't know what they're saying, and Ian quite rightly says they shouldn't stop a criminal investigation, a criminal offence being charged. If it's purely a civil matter, then I think it's really difficult to say without having seen it. And my guess is they're being advised by lawyers not to speak out. So I would hope that some good member of the House of Lords may use parliamentary privilege to do so, as has happened previously. That would be good, because then the police could get involved. But it's almost like this wall of silence. So as far as the law goes, is there a proposal to change the law as well?
Yeah, this is the question. Do you think that current legislation, do you think that it's fit, or do you think that it allows employers to bully employees and give them like a weak hand and saying, okay, go quietly and we'll give you this money? Ian?
What concerns me is that employees could easily lose out if there's a change in the law. I'm not sure that it's NDAs themselves that need to be changed. Probably what needs to be changed is, for example, making bullying in the workplace a criminal offence. And then it's outside the scope of NDAs anyway. Whereas at the moment...
Disagree here?
I'm not sure you could make bullying a criminal offence, because it's very subjective. So I could be accused of bullying you right now by talking over you. Like, immediately could have been accused of bullying. But how do you actually quantify that? So, for example, classic criminal offences, theft, murder. Yeah. It's very clear that somebody's taken something with the intention of misappropriating the property, or somebody's died. That's a very clear-cut thing. Whereas creating a criminal offence of bullying, I don't think you could do that.
And yet we do have a law against certain forms of harassment.
Yeah, but that's a civil law, not a criminal law.
Well, it's how you define bullying, isn't it, really? I mean, this is why we've got NDAs, because there's so much subjectivity. And it would be very difficult under normal circumstances for an employee to bring a case, whether civil or criminal, against an employer. And even if they did and were to win that case, they might not get the kind of compensation that's being offered to them through an NDA. So this is why I'm concerned about employees losing out. But if we want to strengthen the law, it shouldn't be by restricting NDAs so much as defining the kind of disputes within the workplace that could be deemed to be criminal offences.
Okay. Sherilyn, so do you have any questions to ask Ian? Otherwise, would you like to make any closing remarks?
Yeah, thanks, Ian. I don't have any questions for you. I would just advise anybody, if they are given an NDA in the form of any confidentiality agreement, super injunction, restrictive covenant, or anything like that in any form of contract, to seek some advice before signing it, because you do not know, unless you seek that advice, what that NDA says and means, what the non-disclosure is, and what it's about. And then don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of signing them, because the power that they have is limited. It doesn't breach your human rights. It doesn't breach your human freedoms, as long as you've taken that advice and you've taken the legal advice on board.
Thank you. And Ian, any questions for Sherilyn or any closing remarks?
I think Sherilyn and I are broadly in agreement, actually. I mean, obviously, NDAs do provide a lot of protection to employees in certain situations. I would advise employees to make sure they join a good trade union, because most employees aren't even aware of NDAs, so not even aware of the possibility of asking for one in the context of certain employment disputes. So if they're part of a trade union, then they can get useful advice. And because you need legal advice, if you sign an NDA, that can be arranged through a trade union. And if you're not part of a trade union, then you're going to have to find a solicitor who you probably won't know. And it could be quite expensive. Although the employer might offer you £250, maybe £350 to seek legal advice, that doesn't go far with solicitors nowadays.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Ian and Sherilyn. It's been great to have you on the show today, and your insight was most appreciated. So thank you very much. And before you leave today, remember to sign your NDAs. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you. Keep an eye out for the next show, which will be about Shamima Begum, the woman who fled the UK to marry an ISIS fighter. Should she be allowed to be back in the UK? And if so, should she face the music?